Welcome to the Wellness Growth Show, where we dive into the strategies, systems, and stories behind building scalable wellness businesses. I'm your host, Scott Schumann, growth partner to wellness and health tech founders who are moving beyond one-to-one delivery and into organizations, employers, and institutions. Each week, I sit down with the people actually doing the work, founders and operators growing mission-driven platforms that create real impact and sustainable revenue. Whether you're pivoting from B2C, landing your first corporate wellness contract, or scaling into institutional partnerships, this show is here to meet you where you are with honest insights, tactical conversations, and zero fluff. Let's get into it.
All right, so today we are sitting down with Joel Paquette, CEO of Spark Life Care, as part of Series 2. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Excellent. So, for listeners who may not know Spark Life Care yet, what's the elevator pitch?
Yeah, I've had to work on this a little bit. So Spark is a community healthcare matchmaker, right? So we connect clients in the community seeking healthcare services to a network of healthcare practitioners over 15 different disciplines, and all the work is done in home or in the community. And our vision is to be able to offer clients a full circle of care from the comfort of their homes, no matter what that need might be. And that's kind of, as we're continuing to expand and expand the disciplines, that's what we're striving for.
Love it, love it. Hurry up and come to the US.
Good enough. Good enough.
So you've made a significant shift to a video-based recruitment model. What problem were you solving when that?
Yeah, that was huge. It was more around bottlenecks. Like when I came into the operations, it was about identifying operational bottlenecks. And there was even a running joke in my team meetings of how many times I said the word bottleneck within the team meeting. But for us, recruitment and creating this network of healthcare practitioners, it's about volume. We are have an extensive screening process, but in order to build up the level of discipline we want, it's about volume. So we were getting about 250, 300 applicants a month, right? And so when you're getting that many applicants and you're seeing if you're really pushing for in-person or virtual interviews, even, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of demands, and a lot of the demands that are unrealized, ROI, because they no show or they don't, there's a lot of work that being done, put into those that we don't actually get a candidate from. So I think early on, it was about identifying these bottlenecks in certain areas of operations. And we switched to this video-based interview platform. And the first weekend, we had 23 interviews come in over the weekend, in which we would never have any of those completed before, right? So it has really helped us kind of leverage and putting the interview, which was the bottleneck, up front. So putting your bottlenecks up front to allow just more efficient operations behind it. And it's been a game changer for us, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, just thinking about, potentially if they got to drive there and it's like the person who's going to interview them, if they're taking time out of their day or if you're doing it on like a Zoom call, just a short intro. So, I mean, how many hours do you think you saved the team just maybe in a week or a month?
Well, even then, I think at least one full-time equivalent, I would say. And I think it's because, and it's not only that, like they can watch the full interview and it's speed up. So our recruitment process doesn't change, but we're able to speed it up if there's AI integrated into the platform itself. So we can have a layer of efficiency, and depending on that AI quality oversight, and more for the applicant, it's accessibility. You know what I mean? Like if I have a full-time job, I can interview whenever I want. Whenever I have free time, I can complete that interview process. And a lot of people are super nervous during interviews, so you can take like retakes on them. So I think it helps promote accessibility. And one of the more surprising things for like the outcomes is how well it's been received. We've got over 95% 5-star reviews or something like that for that recruitment process since we switched over, which is crazy.
And it's probably, I mean, I'm sure it's new to a lot of people. People didn't even know it existed. So it's like going through that, maybe their first time experience and coming out like, wow, this is amazing. Wish every interview was like this.
Exactly. And we still try to take our brand and put our brand on it and our a little bit of
Your
our culture,
spin.
a little bit and spin on it. But yeah, it's been huge for us for sure.
So tell me, like, is there anything that you would say in terms of like AI and how you decide whether it's worth testing or adopting? Even thinking about like this whole interview process, like how long did you maybe play around with it before like, oh, this could be a game changer?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to like AI is so many tools available right now, right? It's kind of like the buzzword. So it's more so about demoing, demo, and
Okay.
taking those opportunities. And I probably have done 50 demos.
Okay.
And I think it's, there's some that you're like immediately, yes, the ROI and the cost of this makes the most sense because it's going to reduce my FTE by zero point 0.5 or something like that, right? To allow us to scale a little more frequently. But others, it's like, okay, that maybe is a down the line thing, or I could see how this could work, or this just doesn't fit our model. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, just understanding where you want to go and there's so much AI out there as far as tools, no matter what area of your operations, there's going to be something that can help you for sure.
I love that you said too that, I mean, it sounds like obviously you're very open because to do demos. So, and
Yeah.
I think before you and I chatted and you had said, when someone approaches you about doing a demo, do it. Like, learn, because you might just be in awe, right? Like, this is, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And if you had said no, you missed out on a
I
huge
think
opportunity.
it's, yeah, like, I mean, don't go into it thinking that every single one you're going to do is going to be like it, right? But
Yeah.
like 90% of them aren't going to go anywhere. But even then, your takeaway is understanding, I think, what's available from an AI tool perspective. Because maybe down the line, you're like, oh, I saw this demo one time of how this can impact things. So
Yeah.
there's been some that I have kind of earmarked for when we get to a certain level of scalability, where
Okay.
others immediately we sign up.
It's
And
like right now. That's the problem
right
right
now, the
now. Yeah.
ROI, it makes no sense for me not to, right?
Okay.
And so those are the easy ones. And even in that situation, because there's so many, when you figure out a specific tool, maybe with some AI integration or anything like that, there's going to be copycats. So then do your due diligence of what are the competitors in the area and make sure you find the best tool for you for sure.
Okay. Yeah. What were maybe one to two systems or processes that you streamlined that gave you the most like sort of significant return? Even whether it was cost savings, time, speed.
Yeah, I mean the recruitment is a big one, right? And I think we're just scratching the surface on that. We only signed up for that in like mid-March.
Okay.
Sorry. We signed up in January, but really have expanded it and put our brand on it mid-March. So that's been a huge one. The other one we looked at, and this is less so, I would say, AI, but more so just operational automation, is around scheduling. So having integration between our platforms so that all the information kind of flows seamlessly without human involvement. I think there's a lot of positions in which you have someone doing data entry or like a lot of manual work that does not require human involvement or judgment or critical thinking. And whenever you have that as a position or as a work demand, it should be screaming at you like, this is something we should be able to automate, right? And exploring what those opportunities look like.
I feel like scheduling is really complicated, especially when you're trying to like get calendars to talk to each other, and there's like maybe multiple calendars, and everybody's got to know like, no, that person's blocked off.
I mean, it's less critical thinking. So it's more so like, just if you know everyone's schedule and you're an AI robot, you'll be able to
Yeah,
get it. Like,
like feed it the information and it knows.
but ours was more so just integration between our platforms,
Okay.
and realizing I think it ended up being like a 1.5 that it was able to kind of amalgamate, and automate. So it was
Wow.
huge. That's for sure.
So you've launched in Hamilton, correct?
We're
Or
officially,
it's
as of today, yes, we are launched. I think it was late last week. We actually opened
okay.
the official launch, but yes, yes,
Okay. And you've done this without relying on a sort of like a legacy referral network, correct?
yes.
So what's the thinking behind that, and maybe how will you measure the success of this new market?
Yeah, I think for us, we've grown organically in the Ottawa and surrounding area for a while, right? And over the past, I would say, year and a half, it's been very clear to us that we've built our operations for scale, right? If we wanted to remain, a medium-sized business in the Ottawa area, we could have kept doing that. But we've really been building this operations for scale. So for me, I wanted to demonstrate the fluidity of that model, right? How fluid our business model is, and that we can plug and play in these different new geographic regions without brick and mortar, without having, a huge investment in order to do so. And that we can kind of let the quality of the work that is in network, or that matching clients, or those kind of things, let that speak for itself, because that's kind of been huge for us in the Ottawa network. Um, and I think that's a proof of concept for us. It's going to be big to kind of say, yes, we can go anywhere. We can go across Canada. I can go see Scott in the United States and launch there. Like
Yeah.
that's going to be the idea behind Hamilton, and not leveraging those existing relationships.
So you've talked about like team and culture. You've said candidates are drawn to Spark Care because of your culture and brand. What's been intentional in how you've built that internal culture?
Yeah, I think intentional is I don't know if there is anything intentional, honestly, Scott. I read this great book by Ben Horowitz. It's What You Do Is Who You Are, and it's about kind of culture building. But it kind of speaks to your culture comes from how you act, like your actions, starting from the top down, build that culture, right? So it's less intentional as far as what we want to be, and more about what you want to do, what you want to demonstrate to the group. And I think for us, it's always been about, using like making decisions with your heart first, using empathy, being client centered first, and then the business part is going to come forward, like will come from that. And I think the second part for us has always been about how do we treat anyone in network and build this social relationship with them, and offer them as many things as we can, mentorship, or resources, clinical resources, or socialization opportunities, and leveraging tech to foster that, because it can be working in the private sector, it can be pretty isolating, right? There's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of high percentage of that. So I think us acting in a way to help try and avoid that helps build that culture for us.
Okay, and then what advice would you give other founders trying to space?
Yeah, I think now more than ever, compensation is not top of mind for people. I think if for individuals who want some retention in their job, I think compensation is one part, but it's really about building a like-minded group, them understanding the why of that organization, and being part of a bigger thing, and creating a sense of purpose for them. If you can do that for the group, I think you're going to have a lot more retention. You're able to attract top talent, because the culture will be strong. And then there's oftentimes where if someone is like, hey, I'm not quite sure, it's like you can talk to literally anyone on the team, like
Yeah.
absolutely anyone you want to. And I think because you've built that, right, you've built that sense of purpose, that passion for your job beyond the compensatory considerations, right? So that's what I would say for sure.
And it sounds like having that openness to be able to share and ask questions, like feeling important, if something comes up, if there is a little bit of friction or something, and just being able to, because you are trying to create that team, and it is that, team culture, and just being, they say, the door's always open, but is it really? Like, is it really open? Like, can I say anything?
Yeah, like I think candidness is just huge, right? I think being candid with the group, and where things are going, and where things are now, and it helps create that vision for them, right? And crystallize it for them in a way that they feel like they're part of something bigger. Whereas if you're like, just do this because I said so, like
Right. Just
those
do
are
it. Just do
yeah,
it. You're supposed
just
to.
do it. But that candidness is huge, I think, in every aspect. And so, yeah, my team's like, if they ask me even like business related questions or things like that, like where are things at from a numbers perspective, because they just want to know, I think, gain more skills in maybe areas that they might not have experience in, right? But I'm fully candid with literally everything. So I think that helps kind of foster that oneness as a group for sure.
Well, I think it's more than just a job, right? I mean, it's like you do feel part of and it's exciting to know, like, it's like the good and the bad. It's just you share it together, and you get through it together.
Exactly.
So you've prioritized staying lean while still pursuing growth. How are you thinking about raising investment versus continuing to scale organically?
Yeah, I think it's been a learning curve for me a little bit. About my background's clinical, right? So I don't have an MBA or anything like that, but it's about, I have a plan A being, continue to grow organically. Like, I don't need investment to do that, right? I just, for me, us having the vision in mind to continue to grow organically is absolutely no problem at all. I think, and building the vision for our operations that can both sustain plan A and plan B, right? No matter what. So in my head, that's an option. That's 100%. And I think it's probably, I never want to be saying, hey, we have to get this, like, no, we don't have to. We can do exactly as we're doing. The new learning for me has been on the investment front. I think creating a pitch deck, leveraging your relationships that you might have with individuals that can help support you in that endeavor, which is, that investment strategy is a full-time job in and of itself sometimes. But I think for us, if we were to secure some level of investment, right? If we were to kind of say we had proof of concept of the fluidity of our model and we could continue to grow and expanding, 1 or 2 times a year. But if we had that investment and we could say we want to grow 5 different locations next year, what does that look like? What is the trickle down from the operations? What do we need to fulfill that? I think we have the operations for it. It would just be about, once we were to secure any investment, it would be the actual people. That would be kind of the big thing. So I'm moving forward in both avenues at all times.
Okay. Well, I mean, keep doing what you're doing though, especially with that recruiting model that you've got. That sounds awesome, and it's just nice to hear that. Thinking about a couple hundred down to like a couple hundred you're trying to go through, and then you've got solid interviews that are done over the weekend. That's amazing.
It's
I'm sure a lot
cool.
of people love that.
Yeah, it's been cool for sure.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to, let's say, other healthcare operators or founders, even just like thinking about integrating AI or automation into their workflow?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things is it has to be a matter of when, not a matter of if. It has to happen. Like, I think this is coming, and I think that if you're an early adopter, you're going to be able to be that much farther ahead from an operations, from a competitor perspective. So if you aren't aware of it or utilizing or researching now, like, you have to, I think
Get in there.
you have to demo. Yeah.
Yes, demo.
But also I think scratching the surface, if you're not someone who's really familiar with AI and the different options that might be available, there's a lot of really great stuff that is, free right now, like generative AI, chat GPT, that can be saving so much time and effort on like drafting of certain things, or, content writing. Like, there's so much out there that you could be utilizing right now with an AI component to reduce your operational demand. And when I met with my group, I demonstrated these like in meetings. I'm like, hey, I want to write a template for this. And I would pull up ChatGPT and I would ask it and it would create it. And then I'd always, start and end with human involvement. So then I'd take it and finalize it. Scribe is a good one as well. It's kind of, if you're doing a job, you can have it record your screen and then it creates kind of a step-by-step demo exactly how to do it. So when you look at orientation or training, it can be such a great resource that's, readily available for everyone. So when I spoke with my team, I was like, your job should be to try to work less, is what I said to them. So like, there's so many tools available. I don't know them all, but, do the research within your context of your own scope and see what's out there. And then I had some individuals sending me demos, like, hey, I found this one. Let's demo it out. And as a group, we started looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, get them excited about it too. I think when you talk about like ChatGPT too, it's just kind of learning, tell it what you're trying to get out of it and figuring out like what do you need to know about me so you can help me kind of thing. It's like,
Yeah.
so,
And
okay.
I think that's the generative, language component of AI. Then there's the machine learning component of AI. And then I think in the future you have this agent AI that's pretty much would be an employee, right? They're able to not only kind of take a set structure of logic, but also carry out certain tasks, emailing, faxing. So I think you have to, it's not a matter of when, sorry, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You have to be diligent and demo till you find one that fits with you. And I think the only other thing I would say from a context is making sure that you have a fully defined scope of work when you do this, because there have been times in which you think you are moving forward with something that is going to work, and then when you actually go through it, they're saying, no, we don't have integration, or we don't have this. So a fully defined scope of work when you find one that you think is going to work is going to make everyone's life easier, yours and whatever partners you're working with in the AI.
It's like figuring out where is the limit, like where does it stop, or where, it's like, are they able to connect it to this and that to feed or whatever to be able to, get the answer that you're looking for,
Yeah.
or the
There's been
response or something.
there's been a lot where yeah, you have open API, we can connect with anything. But then I think that's something they do in like the sales room. And then when you actually
Yeah.
get into like the tech discovery, it's like, ooh, it's not as easy as we might have sounded, right? So being exploratory about those things ahead of time, right? Like, okay, yes, you have an open API, but these are some of the limitations we might see
Right.
with adopting that. Yeah.
Great. So tell people where they can learn more about you and Spark Life Care.
Yep, you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can visit the Spark Life Care website at www.sparkcares.ca, and you can follow us on our socials at #SparkCares.
Yay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.